Ladies and gentlemen, Trump is showing the world. He is showing this picture in front of the media, in front of the United States of America, to not ignore the story any longer. He's basically making the mainstream media regret ignoring this story about the young lady who was a Ukrainian refugee. She was brutally unalived by a career criminal who had 11 prior arrests. I could be wrong. It could be more. And then President Trump just doesn't hold back. And the mainstream media is losing their minds over this story because they want to bury it. But he's not burying it. In fact, he's shoving the picture down their throats to make sure that they know about this story. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this video of President Trump in the Oval Office raising up the picture. Take a listen.
And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests.
Oh, so it's not 11 prior arrests. It was actually 14 prior arrests. And again, we've spoken on this channel about the fact that this same dude started a GoFundMe. Like, someone started a GoFundMe for this guy, which is just absolutely wild. But it doesn't just stop there when it comes to the media. It actually gets even worse. Caroline Leavitt actually ends up going on a rant against the mainstream media because of this. The White House is now talking about what has happened again after everyone's tried their best to ignore this story. So now she goes off in front of everybody. The whole press pool has to hear her, and hear her very well.
And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer. Here's the truth that and perhaps most...
Yeah, so that is the comparison that a lot of people are making right now. They're speaking about how Daniel Penny and what he did on a subway got more coverage than this. And she is calling it out. And again, we're talking about the White House. The White House press secretary is calling all of them out one by one of how they decide to cover this. And I think it's pretty obvious here in the United States of America who's running cover for what. That's what it's starting to look like. And they're starting to tell themselves by bringing no coverage to the story because it doesn't benefit them. We've spoken on this channel many times before about how and why the mainstream media just doesn't cover the stories the right way or the honest way. They cover it for exactly what we all know: profit. Not only profit, but yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but it gets worse because Elon Musk reposted. He actually posted this on his page. He wanted everybody to see exactly what Greg Gutfeld had to say about this. Greg Gutfeld has one of the best takes on this. And he went off on a tantrum here, on a good tantrum, in my opinion, about what happened. And Elon Musk is all for this. He literally shared this to the world and has millions and millions of hits and views. Take a listen.
I'm tired also of the term mental illness being used as a cover for criminality. When a thug targets a woman, that is not insane. He knows she's weaker. When he comes from behind with a knife, that's not insane. He minimizes her ability to inflict harm on him. When the thug flees, that's sane because he knows if he stays, he'll be arrested. So what would be insane would be if he were to face off against a man without a weapon, somebody like a Tyrus. That would be insane. You'd go, okay, that's crazy. But almost all of these people that do this stuff, they go after women. That is not insane. That's self-preservation. This is not insanity. It's an evil mind. And it's an evil mind that is somehow excused in a culture that weaponizes victim status. In this case, mental illness. And what is it about a society that contributes to this? And I say this based on my own personal evidence of being on city streets every single day in New York, that when a homeless person is shouting at people, he's not shouting, "I really made a mess of my life. Boy, I really screwed up." No, his aggression is purely blaming other things and other people. He blames the world, he blames people, he blames you. So we're living in a progressive ideological nightmare where the worst in society is empowered by a sense of victimhood. So when this happens, they will still get people like Brian Stelter that says, "Oh, be careful of the racism," or other people saying, "You know what? We really need to be concerned about our services to the mentally ill," which may or may not be true, but he's not mentally ill. He needs to be executed. Lastly, I asked Grok for a conservative count of the number of times the George Floyd video was played, looking at tweets and social media, Instagram, news networks. It came to a conservative number of 975 million times. That is not counting retweets. So that is a snapshot of this liberal disease, the hierarchy of problems. The media and politicians, people like Stelter, implore you not to cover one problem, but to amplify another one to a destructive degree that leads to riots, leads to dozens of deaths. But do not cover this other thing because that is racist. Mm-hmm. And that is not as important. In the hierarchy of problems, we decide what you cover.
So what a breakdown. That is an analysis there by, of course, millions of views there by Greg Gutfeld, reposted there by Elon. Elon's been very, very loud about this and about the fact that this is just getting absolutely no coverage, absolutely being ignored. Why? Well, let's actually go here real quick to why the media, in my opinion, and makes more money when black and white people are at their lowest, or they want this type of race action, race war, race. It becomes this way because of the control they have over the American people. Here is an analysis here done by Will Kane, friend of the show. Will Kane decides to go on air and break down the Daniel Penny, and of course the young Ukrainian woman who was unalived. And I want you to take a listen to this. Let me know what you think about this, because this is it's a big comparison, man.
Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles and another story 0 articles? And it's because the media is more interested in the all capitals story, the narrative, than the facts or the truth. Take a look at the difference here. I want to show you the actual truth. When it comes to crime, the story is about race. Race. Take a look at the black on white crimes, 385,000 in 2023. The white on black crimes, just under 118,000. You see the comparative numerical difference. But now here's what the media actually does. They did what our camera operator just began to do a moment ago. I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to show you literally what the media does with the camera. They zoom in on this number. This number, devoid of context. Now, why would that be? Why would one...
Yeah, so that is the breakdown of Will Kane, and he's speaking of how, okay, there is white on black crime, there is black on black crime, there is black on white crime, there is black on Asian crime, there is Asian on Asian crime, there is Hispanic on Hispanic crime. But the mainstream media is so forcibly worried, and they'll make more profits by being more on the anti-white side. That's what he's saying. And to me, as I get older, I'm starting to realize that's kind of true, man. A white man takes the life, or a white cop takes the life of a young black or Hispanic male or anybody else that's not white, and that is going to be blown out of proportion by the mainstream media. They will do thousands of investigations, thousands of retweets, thousands of posts. It'll be on air all day. People will be protesting, marching. But why? Who is to gain from that system? What's the gain from that? And why aren't we marching when Kelly died? One of my friends. We're not marching. We're just posting about it. Why aren't we marching when the 50 people were shot in Chicago, right? Why aren't we marching about that? Well, because it's not beneficial to the mainstream media. They don't care about that. They don't care about that. And until they start, don't talk to me about this when you cannot talk to me about what's really happening in our neighborhoods. I grew up there. You can't bullshit me. Can't. So it is what it is. It's a reality. It happens. Something that we must fix. But Trump is showing them exactly to their face. He is showing them exactly to their face what is happening. He's playing the photo. He's showing the photo. He's bringing attention to this. And this was, I'm not going to lie to you, man. That was horrific. And not only did he do that, but he tried to raise money behind that, which is, to me, wild, bro. That crosses a line. That's just ridiculously wild. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you think about this. Of course, there's an investigation. The FBI is involved. Everybody's involved behind this. Man, oh man, is the mainstream media responsible for a lot of this.